Hey guys, Tony Robbins has this quote and it states, ask better questions, get better answers. I have always loved this one and I can wholeheartedly, say that when I actually started asking better questions, I started getting the kind of answers that started changing my life. So today, I just want to help you potentially recognize like some less than helpful questions you may be asking. Normally, we're asking them on repeat, which is absolutely giving you the same kind of less than desirable results. And then I'm also going to provide a formula. I call it the magic formula that revealed itself just during a recent conversation with, there were about 10 powerhouse leaders on the line. So, are you ready to ask better questions? She asks, asking a question. Oh, the irony. Let's go. There were about 10 of us on this call, and we're like unpacking the power of questions. And we're just masterminding with each other about like how we actually ask the same questions normally on repeat. And it's probably why we're getting the same unhelpful answers. And so we're sitting there and we're talking, and it was about just how simple it would be to shift the question. I'm talking just slightly, but that it would drastically give us a different result. So here's an example, and this is a real life example, something that happened several years ago. So I remember sitting in my car. I was up at one of my favorite like thinking spots. It's you look over the Continental Divide, like it's beautiful, open sky, blue, and I'm sitting there in my car and I'm frustrated because I'm like, why can't I figure this out? Why can't I figure this thing out? And I had been navigating the issue for weeks and I was just not getting anywhere. And I was sitting in my frustration. And even after some of the most strategic brainstorming sessions, I just couldn't figure out my way around this particular situation. Why can't I figure this out? If we look at that question, like the root of that question, it isn't actually asking for a solution. Why can't I figure it out? The root of that question, it's specifically like calling out and addressing and putting the focus on the actual limitations. Why can't I figure this out? It focuses on the barriers, on the blocks, on the gaps, or really truly the problem. So even though my intention, and while I was desperately looking for a solution, my question was really just focused on the problem. Why can't I figure this out? And it wasn't until I flipped that question and I asked myself, what would it look like to get creative with a solution? And that very solution, yes, almost immediately revealed itself. It was the craziest thing. Like this simple reframe of why can't I figure this out into what would it look like to get creative with the solution? That was the game changer. Better question, better answer. Okay, so let's look at this even too from like the lens of a family, perhaps. So if you've got kids, I just want you to think about how many times you ask the same question over and over and over again, as if we're going to really honestly get a different result. However, we keep getting the same response, right? So, example, maybe it's like, why is your laundry on the floor again? Or why aren't your shoes put away? Or why don't you answer your text? Whatever it is, okay? If we look at those questions, what are we really asking or focusing on? The problem, right? Why is your laundry on the floor? Problem. Versus what would make it easier for you to put your laundry in the hamper? Or is there a better place you could put your shoes? Or, I don't know, this one may be a stretch, but what if it's like, if I need to get in touch with you, what works best? A call or a text, and hey, can you just make sure you respond to me within 24 hours? One phrase that we say all the time in our household, it's the phrase problem or solution. My husband and I, we say this to each other just as like a reminder. It's often a loving, like encourager or encouragement, just for the other to focus on the solution versus the problem. So, for instance, if we're upset, maybe about a coworker or a project or a business deal or whatever it is, if the conversation starts going down the path of, "Ugh, I just don't know what to do," it's that nudge of like, okay, problem or solution. And that usually helps the other party go, okay, what could I do differently? Or what would make this more fun for me? Or what would make this easier to actually get the desired results? So, those are just like some of the reframed, better, I would say, solution focused questions that we find ourselves asking all the time. Or, for instance, when our kids like irrationally make their claims of things like, I'm hungry or I can't find my shoes or whatever it may be, right? Hashtag kids, they're so fun. In that situation, what we do is we just, those three little words again, problem or solution. And often what ends up happening is the response and the result change very quickly. So our kids go from, I'm hungry to, hey, mom, can I please have a snack? The right question yields the right answer, problem or solution. The other question that I wanted to share on here today is just that it's one that I would say has impacted probably the last almost decade of my life. It's simple and it's so, so, so impactful. And it's the question of, where am I at? I ask myself this question every single day, every single day now. Like this is it's that look into where I am at emotionally, physically, mentally feeling, or just like how I'm processing life. Where am I at? And this was a technique that I picked up when my husband and I, so we were in our second year of marriage and we were actually sitting in marriage counseling. And it was originally suggested just as a communication tool that you would ask your spouse. And what we realized all those years ago, that like as the spouse, we couldn't possibly know how the other person was feeling or what they were processing or carrying if we didn't actually ask. And then we both also realize how much the question asked us to be able to identify and answer, like a real answer from within, not just some BS answer. So if we don't even know where we are at for ourselves, we can't possibly communicate it to those who are wanting that deep connection and that deep relationship with us. Where am I at is this magical question. And I talk about it in masterminds. I talk about it in keynotes, in public, like in media publications, in like anywhere and everywhere, because this question, hands down, it changed my life, along with the other one of like, what am I doing this all for? But those are two questions where it's like, it just exponentially, it has helped me have this heightened sense of like self-awareness and self-control and intuition. And it's increased my ability to communicate authentically and connect with others. Why? Because I really know this to be true, that when we take just a moment to actually put into words where we are at emotionally, mentally, physically, all the things, then we know how to pivot or how to align with the person or the results that we actually want. So, what started all those years ago, it ended up being like this tool that would facilitate some of the biggest up levelings in my life. Where are you at? Better question gave me better answers. And with better answers, you create more and better possibilities and results for yourself, right? It's all about empowerment. What do we have control over? What can we do? So, what is this magical formula that about 10 of us recognized during this mastermind level call, unpacking this particular topic? First, I kind of want to just set the scene. So let me tell you a little bit about this particular group. So it's called the Lunch Meeting Community, and it is for women in high level corporate roles. My co-host, Julia White, and I, we strive to make it the best meeting that we all attend every single week. So it's free, it's guided conversation, it's deep, it's vulnerable, it's like women just showing up into this room who are leveling up together by unpacking some big topics like we did. Our first week was ambition without apology, or the invisible load of high performers, or asking better questions so that we can get better answers. So check it out. All the information is on LinkedIn, but all depending on when you're actually catching this episode, we currently meet Thursdays virtually at 11:30 Mountain Time, and so that's 1:30 Eastern. It's just 60 minutes, so come have some fun with us. So we're sitting on this call. One of the lunch meeting community members, she's sharing like this perfect example of how important questions are, and as she's speaking, it's revealed in our collective experience this like magical formula for how you can actually ask better questions. I bet you want to know the formula, don't you? Okay, well, I want to share it with you because I genuinely know that it could absolutely change your life. When you know that you'll need to ask better questions to get better results, then how do you actually do that? Because there's a lot of like fluff around it, right? So this is how we do it. I think it's 3 steps. First step, recognize the question that you're actually asking isn't giving you the desired results. Like you've got to be able to kind of like come to terms with it first. Is it focusing on the problem or is it actually focusing on the solution? Second, you're going to ask, where am I at? Because you're going to identify that current state of mind in regards to the situation like at hand. You're going to become self-aware. And then the third step is you're going to identify very specifically, like what is the actual desired result. When you follow that process, what happens is your brain starts to shift. Your brain starts to open up to possibilities, and then you'll start to actually gain insight as to what the real, better reframed question that you want to be asking instead. So let's just play this out in real time. Hang in there with me. I promise. Like we tested this in a few different ways. So first time, let's say like a professional example. So let's say that you're sitting at your desk and there's this little voice that creeps into your mind and it says, I just don't understand why this particular task doesn't seem to be important to anyone else. Okay, so first, recognize the question. If you've been listening closely to this episode, I'm hoping that right off the bat, you recognize that that question is actually focused on the problem. Why doesn't anybody else seem to care about this? Second, if you're asking that question, you're probably, I'm making some assumptions here for the sake of the example, but let's say you're probably frustrated. You're probably feeling discouraged. You're probably not feeling too supported. And like whatever this task is in front of you, just that it's this uphill battle to get the task done, right? Okay, then the third step, identify the desired result. Well, obviously, maybe what you're wanting in this particular situation is that you just want to have a little help getting the task done, if it really is that important to you. So then the reframed question is, who can help me with this important project? Or maybe it's even like taking a step back and saying, hey, why is this project so important to me? I guarantee you ask those type of questions over why doesn't anybody care about this? Ask those type of questions and that brainwave, like I said, it literally shifts from being frustrated and problem focused to now being open to possibility and solution focused. And then let yourself explore that new question and get your better answer. Okay, another example of this, let's take this to kind of the other side. So a personal example, maybe it would be like a question in your relationship. Maybe it's something like, why don't we do anything fun anymore? Okay, we're going to recognize the question, right? That's first step. So that question, why don't we do anything fun anymore? That focuses on the problem, not the solution, right? Where am I at? If you're asking, why don't we do anything fun anymore? You're probably feeling disconnected. Maybe you're craving some intentional time together. And then the third piece is identify the desired result. Well, the desired result is probably that you want to create more fun and connection in the relationship, right? So then the reframe, the better question might be, what's one fun thing that we could plan together this weekend? You see, that's much more solution focused. Voila, better questions, better answers, because what your energy is focused on, like you want it to be aligned with the things that you actually want, right? You want it to be aligned with the actual desired result. Okay, so let's bring this one home with the unjuggle summary of the day. It comes down to, I would say, these key phrases that you can easily remember. First one, better questions, better answers. Second, problem or solution. The third is that power question of where am I at? And then the fourth, I would say, takeaway here is just that the way that you actually start to ask better questions, right? The how is using that formula where you first recognize, is your original question problem or solution oriented? Then you ask yourself, where am I at? So that you can kind of become self-aware of where you're coming from. And then the third thing is to clearly identify the desired results, because with those pieces, 1, 2, and 3, you will tap into just a different state of mind, and you're going to start to create that reframed better question. And absolutely, I want to open this door too. If you are a high performing woman, let this be my official open invite to you to come join us, okay, for that lunch meeting community call. Details are all on LinkedIn. The registration link I'll also go ahead and include in the show notes. But it's 60 minutes. It's real conversation, real connection, real clarity, just alongside women who are going through what you are and who are wanting to not just survive, but like they want to thrive fully as the powerhouse women that we all are. So it's free. So you may as well come check it out, because if you've been digging these podcast drops, then that room, it was absolutely made for you. So I'll see you there every Thursday. And then for, hey, my male listeners, don't you think I forgot you either, okay? Keep just tuning in, because what I'm doing is I'm taking the universal best from those calls, so minus the connection piece for you, but I'm taking the universal best from those calls and I'm bringing it here to the podcast so that you can level up too. Alrighty then. Thanks for listening. Hopefully, I know that felt a little bit jumbled on these asking questions, so I'm going to have to replay this one back. And if I created any confusion for myself or even for you, anything, you can always reach out to me, Brittany@brittanytillinci.com. I love connecting, love hearing what resonated, or if you had any additional questions. So my challenge to you, ask at least just one better question this week. Okay? All right. Until next time. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to today's episode. It means the world to me that you're here to ride in the struggle bus with me, and that you're willing to consider different perspectives, tools, and techniques that just might provide a little bit of relief and get you one step closer to the abundance that is available and waiting for us all. I hope you take a moment to grant yourself some grace where you've been denying it, some love where you didn't realize maybe it was right in front of you, and some faith where you thought all was lost. If this episode had an impact on you, would you please share a comment with a review? I'd love to hear what landed for you, and it helps us get the word out to our fellow struggle bus riders. So please review what was impactful for you. Just know these episodes are a pure labor of love in a space where I'm growing alongside you. I'm evolving every day, and I look forward to all the ways and the things and the perspectives and opinions and choices that will change over the course of time in my own life, day to day. Until next time, just know that you are loved, you are divinely cared for, and in the struggle, the journey of this life really is beautiful. I'm glad that we're in it together. Cheers.